Thank you. Thank you very much. Is this, are we picking up here? It's not on? Did I not click it on? Maybe that's the problem, huh? There we go. Now are we on? No? It says it's on. Oh, there we go. We're on. All right, well, thank you. I'm happy to be here. I always look forward to coming down here to BYU. It's a great place to hang out. Remember the good old days of being here as a student. Thanks for forgiving me for being up at the U. It was a necessary evil. I heard that it was not a good thing to get your bachelor's degree and your master's degree from the same university. So, you know, they made me do it. But I'm excited to talk to you today about SolutionStream, this web design and consulting company that me and my partner founded. Before I do that, I would like to get to know you guys a little bit better. How many of you who are here plan on becoming an entrepreneur, meaning you're going to run your own company someday, somehow, you're going to do it? Okay? So maybe about half. For those of you who are doing that, and maybe those who are not, how does the current economic condition, all the doom and gloom in the news, and the equity markets, the credit crisis, the recession, all these things, how does that affect your desire to do it? Does it make you more wanting to start your own company? Raise your hand if that makes you want to do it worse. Raise your hand if that makes you want to do it less. I wouldn't be surprised. You know, that's kind of, you can kind of think that. It's scary. My personal feeling, and maybe that's what hopefully you'll see today, is I believe that if you have something that you feel passionate about doing and you love it, you're going to do it so well that customers will be anxious to pay you to do what you want to provide. And that's the best job security you can find. And it's all in your control. You don't have to ever worry or wonder if you're going to get that pink slip or, you know, that dreaded meeting with the boss one day. So to get started here today, let's just talk briefly about what is SolutionStream. Who are we? Where do we come from? We're a custom software development shop. We specialize in high-end engineering, design and engineering architecture of applications. I always put that word high-end on there because I want to differentiate myself from, there's a rash of kind of web development companies out there. A couple people, they know a little bit about PHP or HTML. They know how to use Photoshop to make a few graphics and they can throw it on a website. We're a little bit different from that because most of our employees by far are full-on computer programmers. They are certified. They have 4-year degrees in computer programming and engineering and architecture and database design. So we're the kind of shop that you come to when you need a serious website done, including, you know, nice graphics and everything. Yeah, the graphics people wouldn't like that I dismissed that a little bit. But to me, the real sauce is the application and the everything that runs it, right? So the main languages we develop in are .NET, Java, PHP, and more recently Ruby on Rails is becoming more popular. We've done some mobile applications as well. We do our graphics design in terms of pretty graphics and buttons and logos and things. We have 40 full-time employees plus contractors. We're in American Fork. Here's some of our customers that we've worked for. Large, very large, you know, billion-dollar-plus companies. Valero, Northrop Grumman, Omniture, Novell, and Zango. Those are local. You'll know those names probably. Medium-sized, Lion Capital was a property development company until recently. Nutraceutical, Altiris, and then lots of startups. LogoWorks. You've heard of them? They've been here presenting. We know them pretty well. Entice Labs, that's a newer one that has some affiliation here. Finicity and Senside. I don't know if you know any of those other names, but there's lots more than that. We probably, at any given time, have 50 ongoing customers. And we're developing software for all these people. So there's some logos of some other companies we've done work for, including the ones we just talked about. You'll recognize a lot of those probably. So where did this all start? It started back early in the middle 90s when I was graduated. Well, let's back up for a second, and then I want to kind of lay the groundwork for a minute, and then we'll get to that slide. Where did it all start? I got my my bachelor's degree here from BYU. I always knew I wanted to be in business. I didn't know exactly what. I honestly thought that I would become a worker, a manager, a director, a VP, and just kind of take that kind of trajectory in a large company or in several large companies. That seemed to be, I thought, my goal. What I was learning here at BYU was preparing me for. I wanted to have an MBA for sure because I just wanted additional expertise in all these areas. So I did get my MBA right after school. But during the MBA program, I took an entrepreneurial class. That's all they had. It was one. There was no program. There was no lecture series. But I was greatly affected by that class. And a couple of things that were happening to me during that time and were said in that class is really what gave me the impetus to start my own company. Number one, I was sitting in there and I was listening to a guy who was teaching who had multiple companies, and he said a couple of things that really stuck with me. I mean, he was the teacher, so it was over a course of time. But he said that his ideal was to plan a business so that he didn't have to do any of the work eventually. I'm not saying that very well, but his goal was, why be an hourly worker? Why have to be compensated directly for your being in a chair at a desk? He wanted to be earning money no matter where he was at any time of the day. And so that kind of stuck with me. Like, how would you do that? Okay, that's cool. Another thing he said was, learn on someone else's dime. That one stuck with me. And that meant, don't just bet the farm and just take all the money you have, sell your car, and just go all in, so to speak, on your first idea and hope it works. And you're bust if it doesn't, Plan it better than that. Be safer than that, but you also still have to take some risks. So that plus a couple of other things we'll get into kind of laid the groundwork. I started working. I had technical skills. I could program, so I started earning some money on the side. Instead of working my $10 an hour internship job, I started working and making $40 an hour as a programmer. And I thought, that was the initial seed too. If I could do this, just me, at $40 an hour, what if I had 10 people doing it for me for $40 an hour? You start doing the math. So that's kind of where we started. But I wanted to learn on someone else's dime. Did I already say that, or did I say learn on your own dime? On someone else's dime. Okay, for some reason I thought I might have said that wrong. So to learn on someone else's dime, I went to work for some other companies. And that's great. Hopefully it was a benefit to them. So I worked in information technology at several large companies around here for about 5 years. 3 different companies. I had different roles. I was a manager, I was a director, I was a CTO of various size companies. And that was really great. It had its frustrating moments. It was challenging, but I was learning. I learned way more doing that than what I thought I knew coming out of school. That was important because you come out of school and you're kind of like, all right, let's hit it. I've got the books, I've got this experience, I've written some business plans, let's go. But really, what I learned in the first couple of years on the job there was so critical to success. And we'll get into that a little bit more. What I saw there, working in a software kind of capacity in an information technology department, was that software projects fail all the time. I was just confused. Here I am, a manager of a software team. I had 10 programmers working for me inside of a company. I'd have another department like marketing or finance come to me and say, we really need to build this. And companies, they can pay for it inside because you're free basically, right? It's the marketing department, it's the IT department. No one charges anybody anything so much, really. So why couldn't we deliver this? We'd fall down all the time. We'd sit around talking about it for endless hours. You'd run it through IT, through architecture, and they'd find out all these reasons why it wouldn't work. The sum total is again and again and again in that company and in other companies I was dealing with, I was seeing that it was really hard to develop these systems and get them done on time and get them done on or under budget. And customers were just getting frustrated. So like the marketing department, think they'd go back to IT anymore to get something built that they needed? No way. They'd go out and hire it on their own, which that would make IT even madder because now they went around them and went outside of the company to get something built that IT should be building. So these customers were all frustrated. Too few people in the organization understood really good software development. You'd skip important steps in building software, and the project would bomb out. Projects were different. We couldn't estimate and tell people accurately what was wrong with it. Budgetary problems. So there's all kinds of things that can make a software project fail. But rest assured that like 2/3 can, out there in the industry, they bomb out. So there's a lot of unhappy people out there. And, okay, at the same time, I was starting to clue into how corporate business really worked and how it didn't work for me. First of all, I really got frustrated by having a company tell me how much I was worth. You know, there's a pay scale, right? When you've been here 1 year, you get this much. When you're here 2 years, you get this much. 3 years, you do that if you're doing a good job. Otherwise, you get fired. But the increases were so small. I couldn't believe that I could work so hard and so long, and in 3 or 4 years, I might be making, you know, back in the day, I might be making $70,000, and I could give it blood, sweat, and tears, and I might be making $80,000 in 5 years. That just seemed so slow. That drove me nuts. Also, time off. I always would go to my bosses, and I'd probably make them crazy and say, look, tell me what my job is here, and I will not only do that job, but I will excel at that job. But don't tell me how much time I can take off. If I want to be gone longer or come in later or leave earlier, let me. I'll do the job and better. But a lot of people can't do that because of corporate policies and rules and fairness and all this. That really irked me. The futility and politics of just being able to get things done. It seemed like you just sit around in meetings talking about work all the time instead of doing anything. And then you just get tired of, you know, making money for somebody else. All those things just kind of heaped it on, and I was just sure that within, you know, a matter of time I was going to go out and start my own company. So what was our revolutionary idea? I put that in quotes. We're a service-based company, and I don't think what we're doing is that revolutionary. I mean, if you think about someone that just changed the world, you know, like the guys at Google who downloaded the internet and invented search in a new way, that changed the world, right? You can think of 100 different examples like that. That was totally revolutionary. Our idea is not so revolutionary, to be honest with you. I'm not afraid to admit it. But the key is it doesn't have to be revolutionary. Just be excellent at what you do. And if there's a market for you, they will pay you good money. So we created a software process that works. It could deliver software on time, on budget, and leave with a happy customer. That alone, you know, 2/3 of the people out there who tried to build something had failed at that already. So there's a lot of customers who want that. There's a lot of pain in the industry. We were selective about our customers, meaning we wouldn't just take on any project at all. We were very selective about what kinds of projects we wanted. We hire great people, and we would provide a premium service and not compete on price. That was really important to us and continues to be. You can always undercut your price. You know, there's always someone out there who will do it for cheaper. We get hit with that all the time. We're going to build something for you, and they say, well, how much do you charge? Our hourly rates are $100 an hour. And someone will go, you know, be quick to say, I have a brother-in-law who can do this for $50 an hour. We're like, knock yourself out. You know, what you're going to get for $50 an hour is way different than what you're going to get from us for $100 an hour. And most people that do projects and do software realize there's serious value in that. And even in Utah, $100 an hour that's not that high of a price. I mean, we're kind of mid-range there. So here's an example, just to kind of bring this down, nuts and bolts, for those that maybe not quite as technical. LogoWorks, we've talked about them. They had an idea. The 2 founders of that company came to us. We got a referral from somebody else. They came to us and said, we want to build a new way of delivering logos. It's not been done before. Here's how it works. And they described it to us. And that can take hours or days to really get a connection. But once we have that connection, we understand what they're trying to do, we can go hunker down with our developers and say, all right, how do you do this? How hard is it going to be? And how long is this going to take? So that's this first step. We estimate the project and we share the vision with the customer. When the customer feels like you connect with them, you understand what they need, you're on your way to a good customer. Next step is you win their confidence. that you can do what you say you can do, and you win the project. So basically they say, go. All right, here's the size of the project. It's this many dollars. It's this many months. It's going to take this many people. Go for it. And they write you your first check. Off you go. We plan the project. We run the project, meaning this is when all the programmers go to work. So now we meet with that client many, many times a week, many times a day at the start, and you've got to just figure out every little thing. So like on a website, you're familiar with web pages. Every detail has got to be figured out. Every box, every size, how much white space, how much lettering, what happens when you push on this button, when you push on that menu, it flies out, then you click on this and it does something else. Someone types in something in an input box and you hit submit and it goes away and then comes back with this list. You've got to figure out all that detail and program it. So that's running the project. Once that's done, we deliver it, the customer tests it, they like it, they make a few revisions, if everything goes well, and then ideally you do it again. That same customer is going to go, awesome, that was only 10% of our features. We need a lot more work. And that's exactly what happened with LogoWorks. We did the first version for them. It took about 4 or 5 months. And then we were their vendor for about 4 or 5 years as they went through many, many different versions of their software, adding to it, changing this, fixing that, as they figured out their own business. So that's kind of a sample project with how we roll something out and what we do. There was their site from, it was from a few months ago. I don't know if it's changed or not anyway, but they have kind of a cool idea. If you do need a logo or business, business cards or a corporate identity, that's a cool way to do it. You should try it out. But if you do need a website, see this up here? Come to us. No, I'm kidding. They actually did end up competing with us a little bit in that they can do website solutions as well. But they're a totally different company, so I'm just teasing there. Another project we did, I won't go into detail on this one because we'll run out of time, but everysinglehome.com. This was during the real estate boom a couple years ago, we built this really cool online mapping thing that would map all these different pins and how many houses were for sale. It was a really tough technology to do. Took a lot more money than any of us thought. The success on that one, to be honest with you, is that we kept him as a customer. Because this is one, you asked me at the beginning, you keep them on budget, right? Do you keep the projects on budget? If we say it's $100,000, do we keep it to $100,000? This one probably, using the same kind of numbers, if we said this one was going to cost $100,000, this probably cost $200,000. So you'd think for a second, hey, wait a minute, you're falling down on that very first premise that you said. But actually, we weren't, because as we went through that process and found out that what they actually needed and wanted to build was way more than what we originally scoped, we were able to convey that to them, work with them. They were able to get more funding and make that successful. They still ended up being our customer. So that's an example of maybe we weren't exactly perfect in our estimating up front, but through the process that we have in place, we were able to help them be a successful, deliver their website successfully. That one's still out there. You can go see them. They have mortgages and other kinds of real estate things going on too. It's a good friend of mine. Valero is a large energy company down in Houston or San Antonio. We did a human resource employee management tool for them that hooks into a lot of their big systems. I don't think we have a screenshot for that one. So that's an example of some of our projects. The phases that we went through. I've kind of talked about this concept phase a little bit, but we'll hit on this a little bit more. I got the appropriate education, and I was in a bit of a rush. I shared this with the lunchtime group. I might have been in too much of a rush just to get my education to be done. I don't know about you, but I kind of got tired of school quick, and I was just like, I want to get out, and I want to start my life and start earning money. So I was in a huge rush to be done with both degrees and get out. I probably could have spent more time on my projects and things, but I got what I needed. I knew what I wanted, I got it, and I got out. I moonlighted both during school, which I was working 2 jobs at school, but then as I started working for other people, I was working on the side. So an important part of this startup was that I didn't want to just jump out head first and find out where the bottom was. I wanted to figure it out as I went. So not only did I work for these large companies, before trying to do this on my own is I actually worked on the side doing this on my own. And let me tell you, those first 2 or 3 customers I had, whew, I'm lucky I didn't get sued. I'm not kidding. They were rough projects because what I thought I knew about software development, what I had learned in a large company, was very different when you're the one. You know, you got to wear all the hats. So it was a really painful but great learning process. And moonlighting and actually doing this on the side was useful. So I encourage you, as you come up with, as you have ideas or you want to test business out, do it for a while. Try it. See if you can actually sell somebody. See if they'll give you $1, you know, for whatever you're selling. See if you can actually supply what you say you can before you bet the farm. And then I padded the landing. So also, I had a family. I didn't want to just take a huge risk and be unemployed, you know, or get my second mortgage on the house and end up with nothing. So we made sure that it was safe, meaning we got our first contract. Before I left full-time employment, I got my first long contract, me and my partner, and we knew that worst case scenario, this contract was 12 months long. I was going to make $120 an hour for 12 months. So even if everything went bad, I'd still have, you know, I'd have enough saved up that I could go and find a new job. That was plan B, right? But it was in the bag before I quit. That was important. I got that contract secured. Then, kind of as a testament, it was a validation to the fact that we could actually do this. My partner and I both left our full-time jobs and got our first customers were those same employers. So we were able to go back to our same employer and say, I quit. I'm leaving work in 2 weeks. It's been great working for you. You still need my help. Now I'm twice as much. But it worked. So that was a validation of what we were trying to provide, that people really, really needed what we had to offer, is that our employers became our first customers. Concept and planning. So I put this is the new slide I put in here, entrepreneurial conundrums. These were some trade-offs that we faced at the beginning and continue to face. These weren't all apparent at the very beginning when I first started the company, but I'll talk through these real quick. Number one is, as a business owner, small business owner of a startup of something, you're the jack of all trades, the master of none. Meaning, you have to make some really good decisions about how deep in any one area you need to be. I do a lot of mentoring here, and I get students all the time asking me whether they need a partner. Or they come in and they're really good at sales, but they don't know anything about technology. Or someone who's good at technology, but they don't know how to sell. And they're asking, you know, do I need a partner? Should I try and hire this? Those are some really tough questions, and there's not a really good, easy answers for any of them. But I would just say generally, as an entrepreneur, you need to be able to sift out what matters and what doesn't, but you can't be good at everything. Like at my company now, I mean, I started out programming, but I can admit I am not a great programmer compared to the people we hire now. They are great programmers. But let me tell you, I can recognize a great programmer. I know what they look like. I know how they walk. I know what they like to do. I know what their resume looks like. You know, I can pick them out of a crowd. So that's an important thing, is I don't need to be the programmer, but I can sure find them. Same with sales. My partner and I, we weren't that great at sales. We could do it, and it was enough when we were getting started to get started. But we recognized we were not that great at it. So right off the bat, we wanted to hire someone who lived and breathed sales, who just, that's all they wanted. You know, we'd hire people and we'd ask them, what's your end all? What do you want out of a career? You know, and we're going to give them equity too, so they were going to be a partner. And it was, we were listening for the magic words, you know. They wanted to sell. That's it. And that you know, that plus a lot of other things makes them really great. But I need to be good enough to pick a salesperson, but I didn't have to be the supreme sales professional. You see what I'm saying? Same with marketing, same with finance. You need to know what you're good at and be great at it, but you also need to recognize how to find the other skill sets you're going to need to be successful. Second point, real versus a lifestyle business. Sometimes, you know, that you put that in quotes, the word lifestyle, we're a lifestyle business. Maybe we are, you know. It can take a lot of time off. My company kind of runs itself. We're not huge. We're local. We're not national, really. So, I mean, it has elements of a lifestyle business. Have you heard that phrase before? Lifestyle business? Some people might refer to a lifestyle business as kind of like, oh, they're the less successful businesses, right? Lifestyle. We're the ones that are going to go, we're the real businesses where we're going to have an IPO and we're going to cash people out for $50 million. You know, like one's good and one's bad. It's really not that way. It's what do you want out of it? You know, and I made a decision early in my career, while my kids were young and while I'm young, I want to live my life now. You know, we started this during the dot-com bust when the thing was just going nuts. And it was all the rage back then to burn the midnight oil, work 18-hour days, never see your family, push it hard for a couple of years, and then cash out. You know, that was like the dream. I didn't want to do that. I thought, why would I want to give up 3, 5, 8 years of my life right now when my kids are so young? Besides, I wouldn't be happy working 18-hour days anyway, even if it is for a huge paycheck. So early on, we had our priorities of our own set in our minds of what we wanted, and we work at that pace. And maybe it's not as fast as some other companies, to be honest with you. Maybe some other people do work harder. That's fine. That's what you like. Knock yourself out. But you have good stability, good income, great customers. It's sustainable. Call it what you want, but it's a successful, growing business. Service versus product. I kind of alluded to that. You know, we're a service business, meaning every hour that our people work, you bill out for. We don't have a product or something that you sell for a set price. Our price, or our set price, is hourly rate, $100 an hour for people. There's trade-offs for that. A service-based company is lower risk starting up. You know, we didn't need a lot of capital. We bootstrapped it ourselves. We didn't need to go into debt even. In fact, today, we've never had any debt. There might have been a week or two period when we used a line of credit to cover payroll. But really, we have no debt. We never have, and we needed no funding to start. And yet, we have a thriving, successful business. What's the downside? The downside of a service-based business, usually, is that the multiple on the other end and the buyout or exit opportunity, if there's one, it's smaller, right? People don't come around to buy a service-based company and pay you 10 times your revenues. It just doesn't really happen because they figure they can hire their own people and recreate what you have. Whereas a product company, you know, if you have intellectual property that you've developed and now you're rolling out, those can get picked up for a lot of money. But they take a lot of money to start. You might need $500,000 or a couple $1 million to do all the development you need. Then you might need a huge sales program and a marketing blitz and, you know, offices and people and all that just to hit the market and be competitive. And that has its own trade-offs. But could you sell that for 10 times your revenue 5 or 10 years down the road? You might be able to if it's a good deal. I mean, if you have a good company. So that's a trade-off to consider. You know, are you in a product? Do you have a product kind of idea, or do you have a service kind of an idea? Staff augmentation versus turnkey. I won't go into that so much. That's really about our business. You know, we can hire people and place them in a project and really not manage them at all, or we can run the whole project ourselves. And running the whole project ourselves is important to our company because it's kind of our message. It's kind of our competitive advantage, but it's also way more risky than this kind of business. So we look at this issue all the time, and we make sure the amount of projects we have are balanced correctly. It's like diversifying your portfolio. Do you use contractors or do you use employees? We've kind of been on both sides of this equation. When there's a lot of people out of work and there's lots of contractors available because unemployment is high, we use more contractors. It works better for our business. But in this kind of economy, when jobs are really, really scarce, do you feel that? Jobs are tight. You know, if you have a programming degree of any kind and you're good, you can get hired like that. And we need to do that too. So we have employees and fewer contractors now. Equity versus pay, that's another conundrum. When you're bringing on a partner, are you going to pay them for legal work, or are you going to give them a quarter of your company because they put a few contracts together for you? You know, or if it's a programmer and you need someone to write your first website or your first web app for you, Is it worth it to you to give up 10 or 20 or 50% of your company for that program? Or is it better for you just to pay him outright and keep control 100% of your own idea and company? I can't really answer it because everyone's situation is different, but you just need to consider that and realize that if you're in a technical field and your idea is technical, then it's probably worth having a partner on board who is technical. But if you're not, and you have another kind of a business, then don't pay out the nose with equity. Equity is way too expensive to give away for cheap. Wow, we got to move along here. So the startup phase, we basically decided what our legal structure was. We're an LLC. You can get lots of great, even free legal advice on that on the internet, whether to have an LLC or an S corp or whatever. I already mentioned our first customers were our current employers. We bootstrapped it. I guess I got ahead of myself here. It was just really fun in those stages, going through, figuring out for the first time your own. It's like no more case studies, no more book reading. This is it. Pedal to the metal. Can you sell and market? Do it yourself. Go for it. Let's see if you know what you're talking about. Figuring out your own accounting and taxes, figuring out your operations and how to run the whole company profitably. That's just exhilarating. I mean, I guess that's what's fun about being an entrepreneur. If that's what thrills you and you just eat, sleep, and live it, you're going to be a good one. Through this period, 2001 to 2004, we continued to grow. We got quite large. We learned through the dot-com explosion and September 11th, we learned a little bit more about our industry that we were in, that we lagged the markets. Because when that happened, it's just like now. The financial market went boom. All industry stopped. Everyone was panicked and fearful. And we just kept cranking. We're like, whoa, we didn't even notice. 6 months, 9 months later, we're still just cranking away the projects going. I guess we escaped that, looking back at September 11th. Didn't even affect us. But lo and behold, later in 2002, it did catch up to us. So we learned that we lag the markets by about 9 to 12 months in our industry. We learned why. So that was something that experience taught us. We had a period of entrepreneurial reality checks. We got pretty lean. Like in 2003, we got kind of small. Revenue was really low. So at that point, you're going, now, why am I doing this again? Is this so much fun anymore when you don't feel like you're making as much money as you could be if you were just at a regular old job? But hung in there. Then in about 2004, 2005, we started ramping back up. A lot of that had to do with us finally hiring the right salesperson who is doing a phenomenal job for us. We continue to refine our process. We hire the right people. Can't say enough about that. It makes or breaks you. And I mean, especially in my company, where customers meet with our people, our programmers, they're closing the deals with us. If we don't have great people that just come across in every way, it's going to be hard to not only land the project, but make it successful. I mentioned we hired a salesperson finally that really is doing a phenomenal job for us. We also figured out we needed to be in recruiting. That never occurred to me at the beginning, that we needed to be great at recruiting. I always thought, well, we're a technology company, we program, right? But really, there's 3 legs of our company. And if any one of those legs is not healthy, then the whole company's not going to be healthy. One is sales. You got to sell new customers. Number 2 is the projects. You got to be able to do the projects, right, and deliver successfully on them. But the third one, and I think we were a little bit late in seeing this as clearly as we do now, is recruiting. Is that just as important as selling new customers is to us, is hiring programmers, because they are our how do you say this? They're what make the machinery run. Like if you want to run a restaurant, you have to have a great supply chain, right? Doesn't matter if you have an awesome restaurant and it's pretty and you market it well and there's great food there, but if you have a hard time bringing in new food and you can't keep your restaurant supplied with food, you're out of business, right? That's what people are to us, our programmers. If we can't keep supplying ourselves with new programmers and staffing up and growing, we're going to be out of business. So we had to get good at recruiting and being a recruiter. We are constantly improving our customer base, identifying and weeding out MSM, margin-sucking maggots. That's a strong word. We have a certain set of customers that we try and, they're as long as the amount of time they are our customer is short, hopefully. But we try and identify them. There's some customers that just won't ever agree with you that it's okay for you to earn a profit. Does that sound shocking? That they really don't believe we should earn a profit. They think, as we sit at the conference room table selling, that it's a good deal for them, successful, if they twist the screws so tight on us that we end up not earning money. They can go home and pat themselves on the back and go to their bosses and say, look, we got all this software, look how much it cost us. That is not a good deal. It's not a win-win. It's not a win for them or for us. And the problem is they don't know it. We've learned it the hard way. Customers like that don't treat you with respect, that don't trust you, that don't allow you to earn a reasonable profit, they should not be your customers. And we try and eject them as quick as possible. Because, that might be the 10 or, that might be all your profit right there. If you have 10 bad customers and 100 who end up defaulting on everything they owe you, that might be your whole profit for the year. We're branching out and diversifying a bit. I don't want to have all my eggs in the high-tech basket. Okay? It's all software development. So back in 2004, we started a car dealership, and that was a retail nightmare. But I did get exposed to retail sales and the automobile industry. And actually, there's some pretty fun takeaways from that. I got my dealer's license. I get to go to the auctions and buy cars for really cheap and turn them over and sell them. And it's just kind of a hobby now. We did try for about a year and a half to run a full-on car dealership up here on State Street. And let me tell you, we were not good at it. That is a different mentality. I guess I was cut out for software programming and high-tech stuff because too much of that drove me crazy. And it was like 6 days a week working that thing. And I just look at the books at the end and I go, it's for that much profit? Like one of my projects at SolutionStream gets me 5 times as much profit, and I can do 10 projects at once. So, it didn't really make a lot of sense from a profitability standpoint. But let me tell you, I learned a ton, and it was fun. And then East Mountain Holdings, we've gotten into some real estate, commercial properties. Nothing real fancy there, just we had enough cash flow. We were able to buy some buildings and lease them out to other tenants. So we're a little bit insulated there from high tech in a really good place, real estate, right? That's a good industry to be in right now. Real estate, let me tell you. No, actually, commercial is actually pretty good. It's residential that's no good. And then labs, that's been the most fun lately. And I'll have to be real brief on that. But we've finally decided after years of doing everyone else's cool projects that it's time to do something for ourselves. We have the team, we have the money, we have the expertise to start something. So we're like, doggone it, let's do it. Let's stop looking at everyone else and who's doing cool ideas and do one of our own. We have a free team, essentially, right? So we have spent a long time, too long, I think, trying to identify ideas. Just what you're doing. Are you very many of you guys in the idea competition and the business plan competition? Same process. We come up with an idea, we put it through the matrix, how does it rate? We see if we're going to be good at it. We try and write a business plan, figure out all the competitors, pricing, products, blah, 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 and see if we can start a business there. And that's been a lot of fun trying to figure all that out. We haven't launched anything quite yet. Some small things, like some iPhone apps that might be on the iPhone store here in a month or so. But that's going to be my main focus for the next few years, because the rest of the company kind of runs itself. That's kind of how we designed to do it. Hired and built myself out of a job. The harvest is, we talked about service-based businesses they have a low multiple. The other challenge is they don't scale very, very well. If we wanted to double our size or double our revenue, what would it take? We'd have to double our staff, right? That doesn't scale real nice. So we have to just be aware of that and decide and realize if we're having reducing profit. Solution Stream is, however, a good cash machine. We know what to put in, and we know what comes out. We've been able to form lots of good strategic partnerships to continue the business. And then, like I said, plan and execute the home run. I mean, I don't know. Solution Stream is, to me, I feel great about it. Feel so blessed. I feel like that is a home run. But I'm always looking beyond, you know. Could be better, could be bigger. So that's what we're trying to do with Labs. And the new entrepreneurial reality check is, I love it. It's awesome. I would like to do this as much as being on vacation. And it's just, I look forward to going to work every day. The workday ends, and I don't want it to be over. So, I mean, if you have something you like to do that much, you should be an entrepreneur in that space. Figure out a way to get paid and do that, because you'll be successful if you do. Quickly, the key components of success: having trust and being genuine with the customers, having key customers and relationships, happy, excellent employees. Cash flow is king. You know, in small business, you have to respect your cash flow. Don't go out and buy things and live outside of your means as a small company either. Understand why your customers buy, understand your market, fail fast. I don't know. I think I've said a lot of that. So the next plans are just to continue doing what we're doing, make it more profitable, probably expand to some new markets here, get better at what we do, and like I said, use the cash flow and experience to start a new business. So that is our story. I say our because my partner's not here, but it's really he and I that have done this. So, any questions? Yes?
Some of those things that frustrated you when you were working for other companies, like the time off and pay scales and stuff like that, were you able to solve some of those problems in your own company so that your employees don't feel those same frustrations?
Better, yes. That's a great question. There's certain things as an employer you can do and certain things you can't. You know, you'd love to give your employees everything they wanted, but you couldn't do that and be profitable. But at the same time, recognizing that some people do want to have more flexibility, we're totally flexible. Some of our people come in at 10, they leave at 6 or 7. You know, if we know that they're productive, we don't care. Some people want to work 3 or 4 days a week and have a day off. That's fine, as long as they're productive and our customers let them be. We also pay a thing called straight time, where even though they're all professionals and technically they're all exempt employees, we actually voluntarily pay them overtime for the hours over 40, because we say, you know what, we're going to bill your hours, we're going to get paid for your time, so you might as well get paid too. If you want to work 60 hours a week and make 20% more pay, go for it, if it works for you. So yeah, we've tried to do that. Other questions? Yeah.
With the LogoWorks and the RTs, so did they come to you and just say, we have this idea where we want our design community to be set up like this, how are you going to build that? And they knew what the end result is, what they wanted, and you went through and basically told them how to build that? Or did they come in with more details, like this is how we want this structure, this is how we want to build?
In some areas they had really great detail, in some areas not. And we both kind of made it up as we went, because they weren't really sure what they wanted, so we would build an approximation of it, and then they go, yes, but, and then we'd change it, and then that's just us sitting in a conference room figuring it out. Then when they roll it out for live customers or live designers, they'd get all kinds of new feedback, and then they change everything up. So it's just kind of a fluid, ongoing process where they don't themselves even know exactly what they want to build all the time either.
I think we may be out of time. I think we may have more questions. I think you'll stick around if you want to ask more questions in a few minutes, but you got classes you need to go to. Let's give Travis a big hand.
Thank you.